Well, this matter of public importance highlights the great problem that the Australian people have. And that problem is that they have a government that is uninterested in their own economic challenges and has been callous and cruel by declaring victory on the war on inflation, by declaring that the government had undertaken tax reform. I mean, we've got a country with a very sick economy. You've got rising inflation above the band. You've got a budget with its backside out of its pants. You've got very low capex, very flat capex, and you've got rising unemployment. And we hear members of the government literally reading out their speeches that have been prepared for them by other people. I mean, very few of the speeches I note from the government benches are ever actually genuine speeches. They're usually just read speeches. And apparently, down at Labor headquarters, they're giving dictation. They're getting dictation, right? And in the dictation that they receive, I think there's a point of order here.
Point of order, Senator O'Neill.
Yeah, just I'm wondering if the senator's straying a little into reflecting on members in the chamber. I draw your attention to the comments.
Thank you. Not a point of order, but debating point, and I'm sure you'll be able to make a contribution on that. I will give the call back to Senator Bragg.
Well, I thank Senator O'Neill for that, and I appreciate her interest in these matters. Well, it's very clear that the government clearly does not have much of an economic agenda, and the reason that the central casting people are giving these talking points to the government about their economic record is very telling. Now, I imagine what it says is that the Australian people should be very grateful to live in the world's greatest economy and should every day do a big thank you to Mr. or Dr. Chalmers, as he styles himself, for the magnificent economy that he's created, with rising unemployment, rising inflation and low levels of investment. And an economy last year in which 85% of the jobs that were created were in the non-market sector. So we have a very sick economy in Australia, and if you're in a small business, you know that. Many Australians, many millions of Australians know the economy is not well. Things are not so good. And so the bragging from the government that they have created the world's best economy is grating beyond belief. And that is why the government established a roundtable after the election, because they had no policies. So they had a policy to have a meeting in Canberra in the Cabinet room, very democratic to have meetings in the Cabinet room, very Labor approach. Have a meeting in a small room with no air in the middle of Canberra gives you great capacity to hear from the real people. Fantastic. And so you have this meeting, and after that meeting,
Order.
Very sensitive, aren't they, Deputy President? Very sensitive.
Order.
Another sensitivity. Oh, we've touched a nerve. Very interesting. Very telling.
Senator O'Neill.
Very telling.
Order.
Thank you very much for those interjections. So we had the meeting in the Cabinet room, and the outcome we've had so far from those meetings, or that meeting, is nothing. Nothing has changed. We have a government still rudderless, without any economic policies that will improve employment, reduce inflation, and so we are rudderless. And the inflation now is biting, and we see it in the housing space. We see it in the first month of the 5% deposit guarantee scheme, which has driven the biggest monthly increase in house prices in living memory, according to all the independent agencies who monitor this. And why is that? Well, the answer is, if you increase demand in a supply-constrained market, you get higher prices. And you know what? The Australian people are smarter than Labor imagine that they are, because they understand that. They understand that these gimmicky posts on social media, these unbearable posts from the Labor members of the government saying that they've solved the housing crisis with their 5% guarantee scheme, is a cruel hoax, because people are not stupid. They know that a government that's failed to build houses but opens up the government insurance scheme to everyone, including the children of billionaires, is a cruel hoax and a con. And that is what you're seeing now in the inflation numbers. So we have high inflation, we have rising unemployment, we have a sick economy, and we have a Treasurer that is doing a victory lap saying that he's created the world's best economy. Well, it is beyond grating and beyond embarrassing, and the government ought to do a better job for the Australian people.